Let's speak to Marina Litvinenko. She's the widow of Alexander Litvinenko, and he was killed after being poisoned by radioactive polonium in a central London hotel. Thank you so much for talking to us this afternoon. It must be particularly difficult for you to watch what's happening at the moment. What was your first thought when you heard about Mr. Navalny getting sick on that plane?
First of all, when I heard it 2 days ago, of course, it was very devastating. Alexei Navalny was a very active and very critical to Russian regime, but he escaped from a very serious damages. He was arrested. He spent a lot of time in custody, like 10 days, 15 days, but it was not so much serious. Of course, his brother was arrested and spent a few years in prison. But Alexei Navalny was more or less safe. And when I heard this news, I was very shocked.
Thought when there were reports that he's been taken ill on a plane flying to Moscow, was that your initial thought?
No, first of all, if we're talking about how it's all happened, he was traveling from Siberia's cities, Tomsk, to Moscow, and what happened to him? It was so unexplained, and plane need to be landed just emergency in another city, Siberian city, Omsk, when he was stayed for 2 days, but everybody understood it was a very dangerous situation because nobody believed he would be treated in the right way. And now we might be a little bit safe because we know he is transported to Germany, to Berlin, and now he's under control of German doctors. And this is a little bit easy to talk about this situation. But I don't think we need to be relaxed because we still don't know what happened to Alexei yet.
What do you make of the doctor at the Omsk hospital saying that it was something to do with blood sugar?
Even more, they say it is metabolic disease. It's quite strange. Of course, it may be symptoms like that, but I don't think is the reason why Alexei became so extremely ill because of that. What doctors said, again, I can't be very critical to them, but I don't think there'll be so much freedom to say what they don't know. Or if you're going back to my story, my husband, Alexander, was treated in hospital here in UK, and almost for 2 weeks, nobody would recognize he was poisoned by radioactive material. Should I blame British doctors? Not, of course, because nobody before was poisoned by radioactive polonium. And now we don't know what happened to Alexei. And as soon we will know what happened to him and what poison or what agent was used against him, we could discuss what is the level of order. I mean, who wanted to stop him, to neutralize or even to kill. And maybe we will see, would be able doctors in Russia to recognize what happened to Alexei.
We were just showing the picture there of your husband, Alexander, when he was in hospital after being poisoned. Here it is again. On a personal note, for you, Marina, it must be difficult to watch what's happening to Navalny at the moment.
The most, what I do feel, it's for family of Alexei Navalny, his wife, his children, and his parents. What do need is a great support, not only Russian community and international community as well. You have to have a position as Alexei Navalny. Otherwise, it will be even more difficult to talk to Russia because they try to destroy any oppositions, and we will not have any truth from Russia because Alexei Navalny, he was not only a oppositioner, he provided a lot of investigations. He was providing a lot of documentaries about corruption in Russia. And we have some news and knowledge about current situation. After that, I don't know, would be people able to do the same? We need to save Alexei Navalny.
Do you think it must have been a very difficult decision to get him on the plane and to leave Russia? Yes, his health is obviously very much at risk, his life is at risk, but knowing for his family that once he left Russia, he may never return.
Exactly. When I was asked before about this situation, he was forced to leave Russia. Actually, before he said this many times, they tried to push him out from Russia because they don't need him here in Russia. And now, after this situation, when he left Russia, now he's in Germany, is a very difficult and very complicated moment. From one side, we know he's safe, and now he might be treated more perfectly, and he will save his life and maybe if even his health. But would be he's able to go back to Russia is a big question.
I hope you don't mind me asking this, but what was that decision like for your husband? He left in 2015 and came to the UK and claimed asylum. Was that a very difficult decision for him to make?
First of all, Sasha left in 2000, and his decision to leave country was to save us, his family, our son who was 6 years old. And Sasha, we have to say, was a former officer of security service. And when he saw what is happening in Russia under Putin's regime already in 2000, he realized it would be a very dangerous place. And of course, when he received these all blackmails to his address, and when he realized our life not safe, he decided to leave Russia.
What is your life like now? You're in Sicily at the moment. What is life like for you now?
It's not a life in Sicily, it's a break in Sicily. And it was my just opportunity to take this break after coronavirus restrictions. And I'm still be British citizen. I'm still live in London, and I hope I will be back soon.
But in general, in general, in London, what is life for you? Having been through everything that you've been through, what is life like?
First of all, I never expected it will take so long time for fight for justice. I can't say I've never been prepared because nobody prepared for this huge challenge. But during this very long journey, I achieved some result, what I'm very proud. And Sasha's name still be in memory of people. Of course, in this very tragical context, what happened in London in 2006, but in another context, because Sasha tried to say what might happen to Russia, and he tried to prevent this situation. He couldn't. He was, I can't say alone, but he was not supported a lot. But now we understand what Sasha tried to say. It was true. And my duty now to bring this to people and help people not to make another mistake what was made 20 years ago, 10 years ago. This looks like what I can do for memory of Sasha, and I'm doing this.
Are you amazed then that we keep seeing instances of opposition leaders, of people who are anti-Putin, being poisoned?
It's again, we need to look to Russian history more deeply. And Russia, when it became as a new country after Soviet Union collapsed, and everybody believed so many things have changed, unfortunately not. And long history of killing people, of oppositioners, of enemies, of critics, we could see even many years ago when it was the Soviet Union. And unfortunately, they still do it with these oppositioners and with the critics of this regime. And practice to poison people, again, it's not new. And we can count it, names, how many people been suffered. Somebody died, like my husband, somebody been stopped to do something duty as a prominent journalist. For example, Anna Politkovskaya, when she was alive and she tried to make a report of Beslan, when children and parents were hosted at school. Another journalist was poisoned and died. Again, in Russia, it's a Yuri Shikachyhin, who was provided a lot of very serious investigation. And we still don't know who killed him and why he was killed. And it's a lot of names. And recently, a few years ago, it was a politician, Vladimir Putin. He was poisoned twice. And again, not investigation was provided in Russia, and we still don't know actually who tried to kill him. And this new situation, but looks like is a row of names of people who was poisoned, attempted to poison. And of course, I don't need to remind you what happened in 2018 when was used a Novichok nerve agent. And when not just two people been attempted to poison, when all city was as a hostages, because agent Novichok, it's extremely dangerous. And it doesn't matter how many times it would be on the surface, it'd still be very dangerous. And all city was suffered. And I think it's messages again and again you need to understand. It's a very serious situation. And this regime in Russia, it's poisoned. And you sometimes need to be very accurate when you have a business with this regime.
Given what happened in 2018, Marina, are you ever worried about your own safety?
You know, what happened to people in Salisbury, and we remember Don Sturgeon, who was just a woman. She never been politician, she never been active, but she died from this Novichok. We don't know what might happen to anybody. And my safety is, of course, it's serious. It's important for me, for our son. But I'm a woman who was in love with her husband, who lost his husband. And I believe I do just right things. And I believe it.
Okay. Marina, thank you so much for talking to us.